Hello, hi. Hope you're doing well. I'm currently in a hotel room in Frankfurt because I just got back from the first ever MetalCon event here in Frankfurt. It was a really great time, lots of mixing and mastering classes and whatever. And I've got one more night in this hotel, and I just got some rather unfortunate gear news in for the first time in a while, so I figured I would share them real quick. This is a completely unscripted video. I'm just in my hotel room. I'm going to edit this tonight and crank it out and try and make a decent thumbnail for it. But essentially, Hiscox, a UK-based guitar case company, or just instrument case company, they made cases for plenty of other instruments as well, is closing down after more than 35 years of being in business and supplying many brands that I'm sure you didn't know use Hiscox cases, but they do. And that's kind of the reason that this upset me, and that I even knew about them in the first place, because it's not like I'm super deep in the guitar case world. You know, I know Gator, I know Enki, I know all the really big players, and Hiscox was one of the big players because a lot of mid-sized brands have been using Hiscox for pretty much as long as I've known them. The example that I saw most recently that I can think of is Roof Guitars from Poland. I was just there a couple of weeks ago to film a documentary and a little bit of a factory tour, and I saw that they use Hiscox cases for their guitars. I believe independent builders like Patrick Hufschmied from Switzerland also use them. Acoustic companies like Furch Guitars use them. Brian May Guitars, Lakewood, Emerald from Ireland, the sort of carbon fiber acoustic electric hybrids with the Fishmans, those guys use Hiscox. And so while there are plenty of other guitar case and custom guitar case companies out there in the world, this is sort of upsetting news. I like the cases. I have two at home. PJD is another company that uses Hiscox, I believe, because the case that my PJD Carry Elite single cut is in should be a Hiscox, I think. And then I don't remember what guitar the other one is from, but I have another Hiscox case in my home as well. Those are both fantastic. They're some of the best cases that I have. I have plenty of gig bags, plenty of cases, and these are just very sturdy. They are high quality, and they have been around for more than 3.5 decades, supplying plenty of brands, and people have become reliant on them for their cases. Especially the companies that are working with them on cases that are custom molded to like the unconventional shapes of their guitars. So I just kind of wanted to A, report about this, and B, sort of go into why I think this happened. Now this is complete speculation, because I just got this news today. I don't know when it was officially released. I just went on the Hiscox website, and on that website was a banner saying that they are closing down. So for all I know, that's been up there for the past 30 days, or it could have been added 10 minutes ago. I really have no idea. Obviously, since they're UK-based, I assume Brexit didn't help. I believe that happened 5 years ago. I'm pretty sure it was like early 2020. They've been around for much longer than that. They've been around for more than 35 years. Actually, they were established in 1985, so they've been around for 45 years. That is quite a legacy. And so it's really upsetting to see a company like that go, that make quality products. Brexit probably did not help. I know a lot of brands from the UK are very upset to this day about the fact that customs is a huge pain in the ass when sending gear anywhere outside of the UK. But another thing that's actually been on my mind in the past couple of weeks and months, because I got into the distribution game earlier this year myself with my own distribution company that I co-own, the fact that guitar cases and cases for really anything, it doesn't have to be guitars, it can be PA systems, whatever, just anything that's like a hard case for a thing of a certain size, is always the size of the product, but only a tiny fraction of the price, right? A decent guitar case costs, I don't know, $100, and then a really nice one by Hiscox costs about 190 to 200, depending on the size, depending on the shape, and also I assume their wholesale prices for manufacturers are a bit lower than that. And so if you compare that to the price of the product going in it, which is the same size, so take like a custom guitar worth $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, that is the same price, if not a higher price, for storage, because it's the same size, but the margins are much lower per thing, right? So if I run a storage facility, I will charge you for the room used up by your stuff. So I don't care what it's worth. If you're using up that space in my facility, I'm going to charge you what I'd charge anybody, because if you don't want it, then I could use that space for guitars instead of guitar cases. So a storage facility full of cases has a very low monetary value, but it just takes up all of this room, because a case is just dead empty space since it's hollow, but it's the size of whatever has to go in it. And that's kind of, again, a thing that I've been struggling with when I've been looking at PA system cases, cases for stage lighting, whatever, and going, well, technically this would be an awesome thing to have in your distribution network, but there is limited space in a storage facility, and if the case costs $100 or 200 or even 300, the margins on that are not nearly enough to justify having to store it. And that's something you really can't change unless you make gig bags instead, which can fold. I'm not really trying to make this a super long video. There isn't that much to say. This is a case company. They make things out of ABS plastic, a little bit of metal, and a bit of felt inside. But it's just kind of another company with a lot of history and a very strong established presence in the scene that's disappearing. Granted, their presence has sort of always been humble and silent because few people, I feel like, actually care what brand the case is that their guitar comes in. You know, if you get a new guitar in, you open up the case, take it out, and then play, as opposed to reading about the case. But I feel like many of you watching this might own a Hiscox case and know about it, but even more might have a Hiscox case at home or even multiple and not know because you don't care what brand it is, but it's still there and it's serving you well. Sort of an upsetting thing to see so many brands just kind of dying because there isn't that much money in the music industry anymore, especially not for stuff with such slim margins. Now, the website does mention a temporary order suspension notice, but then it also says they are in the process of closing down. I don't know, that doesn't sound to me like they will be back. I hope maybe I'm wrong about this. If I am, I will delete this video and be happy about having to delete this video. But yeah, it does just sound like a company that cannot afford to keep going anymore, which is extremely upsetting. Now, I don't know the profit margins on guitar cases, like what they cost in production, I have no idea. But $200 is not very much money to be selling something for that is the size of a guitar, unless it cost you $8 to produce. Because if it costs any more than that, storage is going to completely ruin you, as is shipping and handling and whatever. Like, shipping from the factory is probably a fucking nightmare. So that's really all I had to say in this video. There is residual stock, the website does say that, and there's also cases available on Thomann and probably Sweetwater, I don't know. If you want a case, if you're currently on the lookout for a guitar case, go buy a Hiscox, give them a last little bit of support, and well, I hope everything turns out alright for everybody involved. Thank you for watching.